Hey everybody, I'm Alan with Bricks and Blocks Gaming, and in this video for the game of Stargrave, I'll be playing the fourth battle for my campaign going through the Last Prospector supplement, which will be the Last Station scenario. Stargrave is a sci-fi skirmishing wargame written by Joseph A. McCullough and published by Osprey Games, and the Last Prospector is the second full-length supplement for the game. Before getting to the action, I'll explain the bricks and blocks of the scenario, show you the state of my crews, and then I'll start the battle. In the last battle, both my crews tried to rescue the leader of a growing revolution known as Daughter Ryla. Though each crew had their own motivations, the Mercenaries of the Iron Golem were able to complete their task. And Ryla told Errooo that the prospector they were searching for had been sent to the farthest colonized area in the Honereb System, an asteroid in the Third Belt, where a small communication base was set up before the Great War. The prospector had gone there to send an important message to some distant allies of the revolution. Erroo's hoping that traveling to this secluded location won't draw too much attention, but the area is now controlled by the Darksiders. The setup calls for a 3-roomed building to be placed in the middle of the board, with each room being 4 by 4 inches to 6 by 6 inches. The middle room has doorways that are just connected to the 2 other rooms, and the end rooms have single doorways on opposite sides of the base. Each doorway is protected by an invisible energy shield that has to be shut down with an unlock roll, either a data or physical attempt, at the control panels here. The base is supposed to have a roof, but since a lot of the action takes place inside of it, I've decided not to depict the roof. So no grenades can be lobbed over the walls, and line of sight can't be drawn through the missing roof. It calls for a physical loot to be placed in the middle of the middle room, and a data loot is placed in each of the end rooms. Then the players each place one loot, their choice of either data or physical, outside the structure. So they've both placed physical loot tokens. The rest of the table is supposed to be set up to look like an asteroid, so I've got some rocky formations and just a few outbuildings. And to simulate it being on an asteroid with low gravity, any move actions must be made in a straight line, unless the figure bumps into some terrain, which allows them to grab hold and redirect their movement. My board is fairly packed, so this probably won't cause too much trouble though. However, the base structure has gravity stabilizers that are still active, so figures have none of the gravity penalties while inside the building. Also, non-robots that don't have filter masks suffer -1 fight while in close combat, though this doesn't affect defense rolls against shooting attacks. The scenario uses the unwanted attention rule with a few modifications to the results, but there will still be a lot of enemies that will probably be showing up, and they all count as Darksiders instead of pirates, and their target point is the closest loot token. Captain Errooo is now level 20 and is carrying his rapid fire / flamethrower, a knife, and wearing heavy armor. His first mate Sergeant Ruga is now level 2, is wearing his combat armor and carrying a deck, picks, and is wearing his new Swift suit, which increases his move by 1. The mercenary crew of the Iron Golem consists of their burner, bruiser, striker, pathfinder with a shotgun, their codebreaker with a shotgun and his force shield bracelet, their carbine-wielding trooper, who's returned and is wearing jet boots now, and their robots, the sentry with a shotgun and the chiseler. Captain Smada is still level 16 and carrying a pistol, his hand weapon, deck, picks, and a medkit, and is wearing heavy armor. His first mate Blinky is now level 4 and is carrying his flamethrower, knife, picks, and his micro-transporter, and is wearing heavy armor. The crime gang of the Negator still consists of 2 sentries and a pathfinder, all with shotguns, their robot striker, a bruiser, their medic, and their sniper and engineer, both with carbines. For deployments, Captain Smada's team rolled to set up first. Their goal is to try to recover the central token, as the winner of that loot gets a +2 faction bonus with the Darksiders, which is something they really want. So over here, Captain Smada, his first mate Blinky, a sentry, their medic, engineer, bruiser, robot striker, pathfinder, and their other sentry are all set up to rush the base, and possibly go after the physical loot up here. And their sniper is over here by himself to try to discourage Errooo's team from going after this loot over here. Errooo is positioned over here with his Chiseler, Bruiser, Sentry, Codebreaker, and Striker. And Sergeant Ruga has a strike force set up down here with their Pathfinder, Trooper, and Burner. And since Errooo knows Smada's desire to team with the Darksiders will make him focus his efforts on the central token, the crew of the Iron Golem are going to focus on the physical loot that's outside the base. However, they still want to get to this data loot here, as there will be some extra bonuses after the game for breaking into the base and recovering one of these tokens. And for faction bonuses, since Errooo's team has the highest standing with the United Minerals Incorporated, they get 2 bonus filter masks that they can put on any figures. So they'll put one on their striker and then one on their pathfinder down there, so they will not suffer the -1 fight penalty while in combat. And for Smada's team, since they have the highest faction standing with the Freeholders League, they get a +2 to all of their initiative rolls for the whole game. And for before game powers, Errooo failed at Armory, Toxic Secretion, and Restructure Body. And Ruga down here failed at Armory, so that means that he's going to have to pay 50 credits to use his combat armor. And then for initiative, even with Smada's +2 to his initiative roll, he got a total of 3 against 17. So Errooo over here is going to activate with the Striker. She is going to move 7 inches this way. And then on her second action, she'll move 3.5 inches into contact with this control panel. And then Errooo is going to make a 5-inch move up this way, a straight move. And then he is going to attempt the Adrenaline Surge Power. He needs a 9 and rolls a 20. So that gives him an extra action this turn and next. Then he is going to power move 3 inches this way and use his extra action to move over here also into contact with this control panel. Over on the other side of the board, Captain Smada will activate with his Pathfinder and his Striker. He'll start with having his Striker double move a total of 10.5 inches, which is just enough for him to get into contact with this control panel. And then the Pathfinder is going to double move 10.5 inches. He has to come out this way and then do 3.5 inches right here. And then Captain Smada is going to move 5 inches out this way and power move 3 inches. And then use the Inspiring Power on the Striker. He needed a 9 and got an 11. So the Striker now has +6 fight for the battle. And then back over to this side. Sergeant Ruga is going to activate by himself. He can move 7 inches with his Swift Suit, which will put him up here. And then from there, he is going to activate the Coordinated Fire Power. And he succeeds, getting a 13, needing a 12, to increase this trooper's shoot value up to 4. And then he is going to power move 3 inches over here. Going over to Blinky's turn. He is going to activate with the Engineer here. Blinky will move 5 inches right up here next to this outcropping. And then he will attempt transport. He needs a 13 and rolls just a 10, so he will exert for 3, taking a total of 4 damage with strain, which moves the Engineer 6 inches over here. And then Blinky will do his 3-inch power move over here. Then he'll activate this Engineer, who can now go 6 inches into contact with this control panel. And the Engineer will attempt to break into this control panel. He's got a +3 will, but he only gets a total of 5, needing a 14. To the Iron Golem soldier phase, they'll start with having this Chiseler double move 9 inches down here. Then their Code Breaker will move 9 inches down here. And he has that Force Shield bracelet. He has to use an action to activate that. So it's a free action. And that gives him +1 fight and armor just against shooting attacks. Then their Bruiser is going to double move 9 inches up here. And their Sentry will go 5 inches this way and then 3 inches this way. And then to finish off their soldier phase, this Trooper, who's got jet boots, or in this case, jet pack as I'm representing it, that gives him +3 move for 1 turn. So that will let him move 8 inches up here. And then a half move is 4 inches, which will be right over here next to this wall. Then their Pathfinder can move a total of 10.5 inches. He'll go 7 inches over here and then 3.5 against this. Then this slow burner can move 5 inches up here and then 2.5 over here for his double move. And moving to Captain Smada's soldier phase, they'll start out with this Sniper who can see this Chiseler down here with 2 pieces of intervening terrain. So his +4 shot against +3. The Chiseler gets a total of 12, but the Sniper rolled just a 2, so his 6 misses. And then he'll just move 6 inches up here into some cover. Then this Sentry is going to go ahead and come over this way and actually add some support to the Sniper on this flank. 7.5 inches on a double move. And to finish their soldier phase, the Medic will run this way. He has to kind of skirt across this side of the building and do a double move, a total of 10.5 inches up to here. Then their Bruiser has to climb over this rock in front of him. He can double move right up here. And the Sentry will do the same thing, climbing over that, and he's only able to go 6.5 inches because of the climb, which will put him right there. At the end of the turn, Unwanted Attention is rolled with a +1 for the turn, but with just a result of 7, nothing shows up as it needs at least a 15. And for initiative for the next round, even with Smada's +2, he got just a 9 to Erroo's 15, so Errooo will be activating first. He's going to activate with the Code Breaker and the Striker. First, the Striker is going to attempt to break into this control panel with her +3 will, but she got just a total of 6, so she failed with that, needing a 14. So then she will use her action to climb over this and come over here just 6 inches since she had to do some climbing right up against this wall. Then Errooo, with his Adrenaline Surge, he gets an additional action this turn. So he's going to start out with trying to get into that control panel. He's got just a +3 will and no dex or picks, but he rolls an 11, getting a total of 14, which is enough to hack into that and allow him to come in here with his move action. And he can just barely get into contact with this data loot on 5 inches. And then Errooo will use his last action to try to hack into that data loot. With his +3, he only gets a total of 10, so he fails at that. And then the Code Breaker is going to come in, and hacking into data loot is what he's all about. So with his +8, he gets a total of 24 and opens that up. So this data loot token will show up kind of right down there. Nobody's actually holding it though. Over to Captain Smada's side of the table, he's going to activate with his Medic, his Striker, and his Engineer. And his Engineer is going to start out by trying to hack into that control panel. With his +3, he rolls a 10, so gets just a 13, so fails at that. So he is going to come over here, climb over this, hop down, and come over here, taking some cover behind that pillar. And then the Medic is going to come up and try his luck with a +3, but he rolls just a 2, getting a total of 5, so he failed. The Striker, however, with his +3, rolled a 19, getting a total of 22. So that unlocks. He will come in here. He has to climb over his teammate, so he can move to right here on his 7-inch move. And then Captain Smada is going to attempt Inspiring on a 9, but only rolls a 3, so he'll let that fail. He'll power move. He has to climb over his teammate, and then he can move 5 more inches on his move, which gets him just enough movement to get into contact with that data loot there. Going to the first mate phase, Sergeant Ruga down here is going to attempt coordinated fire on the burner now, needing a 12. He rolled a 14, so that burner now has +3 shoot. Then he is going to power move over here and move 7 inches, which will get him just barely into contact with that physical loot token in there. And then moving over to Blinky's turn, he is going to activate with his Bruiser and his Sentry. He's going to start by power moving 3 inches this way. And then he will attempt to transport this Bruiser. He needs a 13 but only rolled a 3, so he is definitely not going to exert for that. Then he's going to climb over the top of this Pathfinder and move in here on his regular move and finish his action right there. Then this Bruiser that didn't get transported is just going to double move 9 inches over here. And he can make it to these stairs here. And then the Sentry is going to single move right over here next to this barrel. And then he is going to fire his shotgun down here. This trooper actually isn't in any cover behind that pillar from this angle. There's one piece of intervening terrain, so it's a +2 shoot against +3 defense. But the trooper rolled a total of 18 against just 5 and dodged that shot. And going to the soldier phase, for the crew of the Iron Golem, this Pathfinder here is just going to double move up this stairway and across this platform. He can't quite get into contact with that physical loot, but he'll position himself there. Then this trooper with the coordinated fire is going to take a +4 shot with intervening terrain and heavy cover onto this Sentry. So the Sentry is a +8, but rolled just a total of 14 against the trooper's total of 18, which deals 7 points of damage and stuns the Sentry. And after that successful shot, the trooper is going to run up this stairway and come right to here to position himself with a vantage point and then possibly help out these guys. And then the burner is going to just double move over here, and he'll make sure to actually take some cover behind that wall right there. And then to finish up the soldier phase, this Bruiser is going to run inside the building and stand behind Errooo a bit to act as kind of a shield. He'll come over here a little more in case anything decides to come through or shoot through this doorway. Then this Chiseler, who wants to get to the physical loot over here, because of the rules about gravity, has to kind of pinball his way through here, bouncing off walls, and he can get to right there on a double move. Then the Sentry is going to run over here 5 inches and then take a +2 hasty shot down here at this sniper who's hanging out behind heavy cover. But with all of the sniper's protection and his normal +3 fight, his +8 gives him a total of 18 against just 7 for the shot. And then the sniper is going to return some fire for Smada's soldier phase when he's going to shoot at this Chiseler. There's 2 pieces of intervening terrain giving the Chiseler a +3 against +4, but the sniper misses with just a 6 against 19. Then he'll move up here to start putting some pressure on this team trying to get to this loot. And then back here, this Sentry is going to climb over this rubble and come right up here. He can only move about 6 inches since he had to climb over that rock pile. And then to finish up the soldier phase, this Pathfinder back here is their last soldier to activate. He's going to climb up on top of this power cell here, and then from there he will throw a grenade. It can just barely reach right up here next to these two. He's a +3 fight with -1 because of hasty shot, but gets a total of 14 when he needed a 12. Then the +3 attack against the Pathfinder, who's also +3. The Pathfinder gets a total of 23, rolling a natural 20 against a total of 20. And then Ruga back there, he's got a +5, but gets just an 8 against a total of 12. But since he has his combat armor, that doesn't get past his armor, so no damage is dealt by that grenade. For the end of the round unwanted attention roll, It was a 4 with +2 for being turn 2, so a 6 doesn't spawn anything. And for initiative, Captain Smada won with a total of 7 to 4. So he's going to activate with the Striker. He's going to start with having this Striker double move through this doorway. These central doors here are not locked by anything. He's going to come over here and get into combat with Errooo's Bruiser there. And then Smada is going to attempt to unlock this data loot. He gets a +10. He rolled an 11, so 21 total. Unlocks that. That'll sit there. He can't pick that up this round, so instead he's just going to move 5 inches over here, getting ready to possibly unlock this central loot. And he can't quite get into contact with it. And then moving to Errooo's turn, he's going to activate with this Codebreaker. The Codebreaker is going to pick up the data loot that's down here. And with that, he's going to run out of the building 6 inches, which will bring him over to here. And then Errooo is going to run out there and then power move into contact with him and attempt to fling him. He needs a 7 but only rolled a 2, so he'll just let that fail. And then to Blinky's turn in here. He can't quite reach this central loot on a single move, so he's going to move and power move and then activate the smash and grab power. That works on a 11 and he rolled a 17. That allows him to unlock a physical loot, or well, any loot within one loot token within 1 inch. Even though it's called smash and grab, it doesn't say that they can pick it up. The break lock power has been ruled that it does not allow figures to pick it up when it's unlocked. So I don't think he gets to pick it up as a free action. So that'll sit there. But the other thing smash and grab does is when he does pick up the physical loot, he's no longer slowed down while he's carrying that. And then moving to Ruga back here, he is going to activate with the Pathfinder that's in front of him. The Pathfinder is going to move over in front of this data loot. And I'll just remove this roof so we can see what's going on here. The Pathfinder attempts to unlock that loot with his +2 will, but only gets a total of 9. So that fails, so instead he'll just kind of stand guard there. And then Ruga will attempt to unlock it. He has a +8 with his will and his picks. Gets a total of 20, so he unlocks that. And then he will move 3 inches away, carrying that loot, which he can pick up as a free action. And then moving to the soldier phase, Smada is going to have his sentry stand up where he is, and then fire his shotgun up here at Ruga. It's a +2 shot, but Ruga has intervening terrain for a +6, and Ruga gets a total of 12 against 6, so that fails. And then they're going to have this engineer kind of climb up this little pillar he's next to. And from right there, the engineer can take a hasty shot up here at Ruga. It's a +2 against +7 because there's also intervening terrain. And both results got a 13, so no damage on a tie. Then the Pathfinder is going to run out here, kind of out into the open. He has died in all the other battles. It's right there, and then he is going to toss a grenade hastily up here through some of these bars, so he can't see the actual site where it's going to land, so it's a +0, but he gets a 13, so that means it blows up right where he wants it. The +3 attack against the trooper succeeds, but is only a 9 against a total of 3 for the +2 trooper. And against Ruga with his +5, he ends up getting a total of 9 against 6. So the grenade was kind of a dud. And then they're going to have their medic out here run inside the building, and he is just going to pick up this data loot. And then back here, their bruiser is going to run behind this structure. I can't get my camera back there, but he'll be right back here on a double move. He's kind of out in the open, but he doesn't really care. He just wants to get down here so he can try to stop Ruga from running this way down the stairs. And then up front here, the sniper is going to see if somebody can actually land a shooting attack. He's got a +4 wide open shot against the +1 chiseler and gets a total of 16 against 12. So that does stun the robot, dealing 6 damage to him. Then the sniper is going to run over here into combat with him, which I guess kind of undoes the stun, but that'll keep him tied up. And then Actually, he'll come around this side because the sentry down here is going to double move into combat with him here. And then moving to Erroo's soldiers, this striker is going to just hop up over this wall and come into contact with the sniper, and she'll attack with a +5 against +3, and she rolls a 7 for a total of 12 against just a total of 6 for the sniper. Strikers deal +1 damage and cause an enemy's armor to be -1, so altogether that deals 4 damage to the sniper, bringing him down to 8. And then this sentry is going to run around here, and he'll have to double move to get into combat with this sentry. And then back here, this burner is going to fire his flamethrower at this Pathfinder. He's got light cover, so he's got a total of +5 against +4, and the final result was 18 against 19, so the Pathfinder defends that. And then this trooper up here with his high ground, he has a wide open shot at the Pathfinder, so that's a +4 against +3, but gets just an 18 to a 20. And then he'll just stay there to activate with Ruga next turn. And then lastly, the bruiser right here will choose to do nothing and just stay in combat to tie up that striker so he can't do anything. And then for the unwanted attention with a +3, they finally got something. They rolled for a trooper, a pirate trooper, so we've got a dark side trooper that is going to show up right down here. And moving to the next turn, Smada has won the initiative with a total of a 22 against 16, and he's going to start out by using the command power on this striker. He needed a 10 and rolled a 10, so he'll get to activate as soon as Smada is finished here. Then Smada is going to power move out here and then move 5 inches, which will get him outside of the building, so he can start to do something else next turn. And then the inspired striker here will attack with +6 against +3. There's no penalties for melee while they're inside this base. And the striker, rolling a 17, gets a total of 23 against 14. And strikers give their opponents a -2 armor and deal +1 damage. So that more than takes out the 12 health bruiser. And that was exactly what Smada was hoping, because now this striker is free to move 7 inches, which can get him into combat with Errooo out here. And then Errooo will go ahead and activate with his Codebreaker. The Codebreaker is just going to take his loot and double move 9 inches towards the edge, and that's actually just enough to get him off the table, securing the first loot of the game. And then Errooo wants to just fling this striker out of combat. He needs a 7 and rolls a 9, so he takes 1 point of strain as that power works, but then the striker gets to resist. It's a fight roll against a target number of 16, and with his +6, he rolls exactly 16 total, so Errooo is still locked up in combat with that striker. And then moving to Blinky's turn, he's just going to use his main action to pick up this physical loot, and now that he's not slowed by carrying physical loot due to the smash and grab power, he can run 6 inches with his second action into this other room to right here, so he can try to escape with that physical loot. And then Sergeant Ruga up here is going to activate with this Pathfinder that's just barely within 3 inches, and this Trooper, and he is going to take his physical loot and go 3.5 inches on his half move partway down these stairs, then power move down to the bottom another 1.5 inches, and from right there he is going to use the command power on this burner. He needs a 12 and rolls a 19, so he'll be activating this phase as well. And then the commanded burner will lay down a line of fire at this Pathfinder. It's a +3 shoot against +5 with light cover, and the Pathfinder gets a 16 against just 8 for the burner, so that misses. And then the burner is going to run underneath here to go get into combat with that bruiser. And then the trooper up here is going to take a wide open shot at this Pathfinder. It's a +4 shot against +3 defense, and with a 17 against 13, that deals 7 damage and stuns this Pathfinder. Then the trooper is just going to run down these stairs here in front of Sergeant Ruga to provide some cover in case any enemies come that way. And then Errooo's Pathfinder will activate. He'll come over here and then climb partway down this and drop. It's less than 3 inches, so he doesn't take any damage. Then come right over here to get into combat with Smada's Pathfinder. That cancels the stun, but that also gives this Pathfinder a -2 fight, so he's just a +1 fight against the +3. And Errooo's Pathfinder rolls a total of 18 against just 5, which deals 8 more damage to this Pathfinder, which once again takes him out of a battle. And then to Smada's soldier phase. Back here, this bruiser is going to attack the burner. That's a +2 against +2 since neither of them are wearing filter masks. But with just a 7 against a 19, the burner with his knife ends up dealing 7 damage to the heavy armored bruiser, and the burner will stay in combat to lock him up there. And then jumping over to the other side of the table, their medic is going to run out here, a total of 10.5 inches with this data loot, trying to get out of here. And then this sentry is going to double move 7.5 inches over here, trying to come aid the melee that's going on the other side of the table. And then this engineer is going to run over, kind of same idea, 9 inches over to right here. And moving to the melee that's going on up front here, this sentry here, he doesn't have a filter mask, so he's only a +2. He'll attack this chiseler who's supported, so he's a +3, but the sentry still wins with a total of 15 against 7. That deals 5 damage to this chiseler, putting him down to just 1 health. And then their sniper is going to choose to do nothing since he's already taken some damage. Then we'll move to Errooo's soldier phase, where this striker will attack. Support is not given because the chiseler is locked up in combat. The sniper is not wearing a filter mask, but the striker is, so her +5 gets a total of 11, but the +2 of the sniper gets 13, so she ends up taking 3 points of damage. Once again, the sniper will stay in combat, and then this robot sentry will attack. He's a +3 against +2, but he ends up losing with just a 7 against 13, so he takes 2 points of damage, and Smada's sentry will keep him locked up in combat there. And now moving to the creature phase, or Darksider phase. This guy here cannot see anybody, but the target point is the closest loot, so he's gonna come 5 inches over here to try to get close to this loot here. And from there, he can see this sentry down there. He's going to fire his carbine with a hasty shot with 1 piece of intervening terrain, giving that sentry a +5. And the sentry rolls a total of 11. However, the Darksider rolled a critical hit, which ends up dealing 16 points of damage, and that sentry just was not expecting any Darksiders to show up here on the battlefield. And apparently that Darksider was a scout, because on this unwanted attention roll with a +3, they rolled up 2 ruffians, which are going to show up right here. But that 23 total also gets 2 troopers. So we've got 2 dark troopers that are going to be showing up way down here, which could give Ruga a run for his money if he can't get off the board soon. Moving to the next round, Errooo won the initiative with a 16 against a total of 10, and once again he'll try to fling this striker out of combat. He needed a 7 and rolled an 11, and this time the striker failed its resistance roll. With his +6 fight, he only rolled a total of 12, needing 16 to resist that. So Errooo will fling him over this direction 6 inches. And then Errooo will power move 3 inches this way, and then move 5 inches down here, hugging that wall after taking the 1 point of strain damage from Fling. And then to Captain Smada's turn, he is going to move 5 inches over here, and then power move up over his engineer to right here. And then looking down here, he can see this sentry that's in combat. He'll use Inspiring on him. He needs a 9 and rolls in a 7, so he'll exert for 2 to increase that sentry up to +4 fight. And then moving to Sergeant Ruga in the first mate phase, he is going to step just a little bit this way on a power move so that he can see this Pathfinder and use coordinated fire. Needing a 12, he gets a 16, so his shoot is increased. And then Ruga is going to move 3.5 inches on his half move, which is just enough to get him off the table, securing this physical loot. And then Blinky is going to move 5 inches out here with his physical loot. And then from right here, he is going to use the transport power on this engineer. Needing a 13, he rolled a 15, and he'll move him 6 inches down here, maintaining line of sight. And then he will power move 3 inches this way. Going to the soldier phase, I just remembered this striker should be stunned because he was flung. This Pathfinder down here is going to shoot at him. The striker gets a +9 from Inspiring, his benefit from defending against shooting attacks and being stunned. But with that, he gets just a total of 12 against the +4 Pathfinder's total of 22. And that is a shotgun that can just barely reach him. So that deals 13 points of damage, leaving him at 1 health. But he is a robot, so he is not wounded. And then the Pathfinder will move over here, trying to stay out of range of this striker getting to him in one action. And then the trooper back here is going to move 5 inches over here, where he's got a clear shot, also a +4. He also gets a 22 total, but that's a hasty shot, giving the striker an additional +1. And both results show up as a 22, so the defender wins in the case of a tie. Next, this filter mask wearing striker will attack the non-filter mask wearing sniper. That's a +5 against +2. The striker wins with a 7 against a 5, but that doesn't deal any damage. She'll choose to push herself out of combat, then come over here and get some high ground on this non-filter mask wearing sentry here. So even with Inspiring, he's just a +3. So this robot sentry will attack the support. It's a +5 against +3, and the robot gets a total of 18 against 13, dealing 7 points of damage to that sentry. And then the Chiseler is going to go ahead and attack. Double supported against single supported, so that means the Chiseler gets just +2 for support. It's a +3 against +3. The sentry does win with a total of 10 against 4, but that doesn't get past the Chiseler's armor, so he is still functioning with 1 health left. To finish off Errooo's soldier phase, back here, this burner will choose to do nothing against that bruiser. Then moving to Smada's soldiers, the bruiser will attack. That's a +2 against +2. The bruiser wins with a total of 5 against 4. He could push out of combat, but he'll just stay there, hoping to take out a burner to cost Errooo's team some money. And then over to this side of the table, this medic is just going to run off the board to secure this data loot. And then up here to this big melee, this sniper is going to attack with a +2 against +1 there. No support is given. And the sniper rolls a total of 17 against 3, which takes down the 1 health remaining Chiseler. And then the sniper, he was going to try to add some support here, and so is that engineer, but things are starting to crumble here. Darksiders are coming in, and they don't want to take out any of these Darksiders because that's going to affect their faction standing with them. So instead, he's going to just leave his sentry there, run 6 inches over here, kind of hugging this wall. Then he can pull himself around over here to get himself out of the view of these ruffians. And then this engineer is just going to retreat, even though he's just transported back over this way, making sure he's out of view of any of the Darksiders that have shown up on the board. And then lastly, this 1 health remaining stunned striker will stand up and move 7 inches over here. He can kind of get to the other side of this power cell here. He is now in view of Errooo, but he's out of view of those guys. And then moving to the Darksiders, this one here can't see anybody, so he's going to start moving towards this loot, which will put him around here, 5 inches. And then from right there, he can now see this melee, so he'll shoot into it. He's randomly determined to be shooting at the striker there. She gets +1 against shooting attacks, and it's a hasty shot for +7, giving her a total of 25 against just 9 for the +2 trooper. And then moving to this back corner, these 2 dark troopers that are hanging out here. Can't see anybody, so they'll move 5 inches toward the target point of that data loot. I was double checking the rules in the book, and if a random move or move towards target point is made, they'll only take a second action if they can see a figure. And then moving back up to the action up front here, this ruffian can move 6 inches this way, trying to get around this obstruction to the loot. And then from there, he can see the melee and has rolled to randomly fire at this sentry in brown. It's a +1 hasty shot, which bumps the inspired sentry up to +5, and the sentry gets a total of 11 to 7, so he dodges. And then the other ruffian is going to run this way. When he gets to the corner, the closest target is Errooo, and he will fire his +1. It's a hasty shot. Eroo's got heavy cover, so he's got a +9, giving him a total of 15 against 5. And then at the end of the turn, the unwanted attention roll +5 showed to be 2 ruffians, so we've got Fennec Shand and Cara Dune showing up over here. And then for initiative, Smada has won that with a total of 21 with his bonus against just 12. He's going to activate with this engineer. He'll start with having the engineer run 9 inches around here, coming up against this wall here for some good cover. And then Smada is going to move 5 inches and then power move 3 inches. And then he will activate the inspiring power. Needing a 9, he rolled just a 5, so he'll exert for 4 to bring his fight up by +1 to give himself some defense against anything that might come his way. And moving back to this melee up here, Errooo will activate with the striker. She'll go ahead and attack with support. She's a +7 against +3, and with both figures rolling an 11, she wins, and she deals +1 damage and ignores up to 2 armor, which deals more than enough damage to take out the 7 health remaining sentry. And then she is going to run over here next to Errooo to make sure that if this striker tries to come this way, either she or this ruffian will force combat. And then Errooo is going to try out his adrenaline surge again, needing a 9. Another 11 is rolled, so that is successful. He will then power move and move over here and use his extra action to try to unlock this loot. He has a +3, but only gets a total of 10, needing a 14, so that stays locked. And then moving to the first mate phase, Blinky back here is just going to double move off the board with his physical loot, securing the central token. And since Sergeant Ruga has already left the board, we'll go to the soldiers of the Negator. And the sniper here will take a +4 shot, wide open shot, at the +6 striker. And the sniper wins with a 14 against just 10, so that ends up dealing 4 damage to her and stuns her. Then the sniper is just going to run off the board. And then the striker here, they do not want to take out any of these dark troopers because any of the Darksiders, because that will end up affecting their standing with them. So he's just going to run off the board on a double move, 10.5 inches. And then back here to this epic battle between this Bruiser and this Burner. With +2 against +2, the Burner ends up rolling a total of 21 against just 9. So that ends up dealing 9 points of damage with that knife. The Bruiser only had 5 health left, so he goes down. And then moving to Erroo's soldiers, this burner, having succeeded in that combat, will now move 7.5 inches out here. And then this trooper will run over here, 7.5 inches against this energy cell there. And their Pathfinder will also head off that way. He can go a little further with his move of 7. They want to come this way to encourage Smada to leave the board rather than hang out, because they want them to get off the board so that Errooo and these guys don't end up getting totally surrounded by Darksiders over here. And finally, this sentry wants to try to unlock this physical loot, but if he comes up there, this trooper here will force combat, so instead he's just going to fire his shotgun at the trooper, +2 against +2, but that misses with a 13 against 18. And now all these Darksiders over here are going to attack the sentry. The trooper here, with his +2 against +2, misses with a total of 14 against 15. And then this ruffian, I'll go ahead and have him shoot his pistol with his +1 shoot. That misses with an 11 against a 22. And then this last ruffian can just barely see around this corner to shoot at him. But they both roll a 7, and that +1 misses the +2 defense of the sentry. And then to the dark side troopers back here. They can't see anybody still, so they will both move 5 inches this way. And even with that, they still can't see anybody, so they will end their movements right there. The ruffians, they can't see anybody. They'll move 6 inches this way. They'll get to about here, and then they can actually see Errooo down here, but they just have pistols, so they can't reach. They'll end up moving 3 more inches right up here by this rock, and end their actions there. And for unwanted attention, with a +6, I rolled just a 3 for a total of 9, meaning no more Darksiders are going to enter the table. And then for initiative this round, Smada with his +2 rolled a natural 20 for a total of 22 against just 7, so he goes first. He could stick around here to try to make some trouble for Erroo's team over here, but he doesn't really want Errooo to end up unlocking that loot. So for his turn, he'll activate with the engineer, and they will both just run off the table. That will end the game. Now Errooo has a chance to secure any unclaimed loot. He needs a 15+, but rolled just a 9, so that physical loot will go unopened and unclaimed, and the game will end here. For faction standing awards, Smada gains +2 with the Darksiders for recovering the central token, and this brings their standing to 3 and unlocks the first level of benefits gained from the faction, which is +1 to their overall investigation score after each battle, though this doesn't factor into who gets to choose the next scenario. And since the rules don't say otherwise, I'm allowing faction benefits to kick in immediately. And for securing one of the data loot tokens from inside the base structure, they've chosen to gain +1 with Molly. And Errooo gains +1 with the Freeholders League for not securing the central loot, and for securing one of the data loot tokens in the base, has chosen to gain +1 with Molly, unlocking the level 2 benefit of being able to reroll one result on an advanced tech or weapons table after each game. And this can be used when rolling up loot or the black market products. For survival rolls, Erroo's Bruiser was fine, but his Chiseler is badly wounded, and Smada's Pathfinder, Bruiser, and both sentries were all fine. Erroo's team gained 20 bonus experience points for unlocking one of the doors, and 10 because Errooo entered the base. They gained a total of 240 for the battle, plus the 85 they already had, allowed Errooo to advance to level 22 and further lower the activation number of Adrenaline Surge to 8, while also increasing his shoot stat to +6. And Sergeant Ruga increased to level 3 and lowered the activation number of Coordinated Fire to 11, and that leaves the team with 25 experience points. Smada's crew also gained 20 bonus experience points for opening a door, and 10 for Smada entering the base, plus another 10 for Blinky entering. They gained a total of 230, had 15 saved, and I miscalculated after last battle, and they should have gained 20 more experience points than what I awarded them. so they have a total of 265. And they moved Blinky to level 6, decreasing the activation number of bait and switch down to 12, and learning the new Treasure Seeker power. This is found in the Last Prospector book, and it'll improve the quality of physical loot they secure, and activates on a 14 since it's not a core power from his investigator background. For loot, the crew of the Iron Golem found information they sold for 100 credits, and trade goods worth 400 that they'll hang on to. If they get one more point in their faction standing with the Freeholders League, they can sell it for 20% more. The only thing they'll spend their money on is to fire their wounded chiseler, and then just hire back a new one with full health for 20 credits. And they'll just save their other 335 credits. The only after-game power the crime gang succeeded on was investments, to gain 50 bonus credits. Their data loot got them 380 credits, and their central physical loot automatically gave them a roll on the alien artifacts table, but found a cursed Idris. And this item gives a bonus to the Puppet Master power, which they don't know, so they sold for just 200 credits. They have trade goods worth 75 and 400 credits saved from their last battle, and they'll sell them now for a 20% bonus for having a standing of 3 with the Freeholders League, plus an additional 20% for the extra cargo pods upgrade they purchased after the last game. And they'll combine it with the 550 they already had for a total of 1,845 credits. Then they'll use their engineer's 20% discount on ship upgrades to spend just 1,600 credits instead of 2,000 to purchase a Shangri-La cage, which is found in the Last Prospector book. And this lets them deploy an allied Shangri-La with the crew in addition to their usual 10 figures. Both crews gained 2 investigation points in this game, so there's no clear winner for selecting the next battle. So I guess it goes back to Erroo's pick, so they'll be headed to the Devil's Fruit Bowl, which takes place in a poisonous plant-filled jungle basin on the planet Honereb. So make sure you don't miss that battle by subscribing and hitting the notification bell, and feel free to check out some of the other content on my channel. I'm Alan with Bricks and Blocks Gaming. Thanks for watching and play well.